What's up, guys? Thought I'd do a quick video here and for anybody that's interested, or maybe even more so just for myself so I can remember where I'm at with this thing. I've changed a few things since the last time. I got different tires now and foam, and actually the wheels too, as I just left my other ones mounted up. These are J-Concepts Tusk, and it's the green compound, really nice, very squishy. I've got dual stage Proline foam in there, which fills them out really nice. And the wheels, the hub inside that the foam mounts on is flat. It's those aluminum wheels. I guess they're Vanquish knockoffs. That's flat, and what you need to do to use the dual stage foam is to use a lathe, or have a friend that has a lathe, and cut a little notch around that hub, so that foam has that ridge, that bump that sticks out, right? So when that sticks out, if it just slides around on there like nothing. So if you look at the Proline wheels, they have like a concave indentation for their foam to rest in, to keep it from pulling over on a side hill. So anyway, I cut that in there. The foams fit in there real nice. They don't slide around on inside the wheel, so it gives it some rigidity there. I've also, you see that front wheel looks a little different. I weighted that. That is a product called Low Melt. And I can't remember who makes it. It was basically left over for me from some projects, and it's you meld it and you pour it in there. It's easier said than done. You need to obviously do something on this side so the stuff just doesn't go through. So what I did is I used some foam here, right? And I put the try to do this one-handed, but basically you put the wheel down on there, put this screw down and screw it to your workbench or screw it to something else, and it squishes the front of the wheel into the foam, right? So then you pour your low melt in, it doesn't run out all over the place, and it stays in there. You leave it sit for a few minutes, it hardens up, and there you go. You got a nice weighted wheel. I really like how this performs with these weighted wheels. I was still getting some. What happens is I got the traction, but I'm tipping over backwards, right? So I thought, well, you need to get this a little more front bias. It sits up a little high, being it's a portal deal, and the shocks could be mounted a little higher. So anyways, they're not. So I weighted the wheels a little bit. Maybe even get a little more brass up front might be better. So I used this low melt. I thought I'd give it a try. I was going to make some brass weights and mount them right on the wheel. And then I looked up what brass costs these days, and it's pretty expensive. So now I said, I'll just make them out of steel. You know, steel's just a little bit lighter than brass. Brass, I think, don't quote me on this, I think is around 535, I think, a cubed foot, right? You should memorize all this stuff. Isn't that ridiculous? Anyways, 535, I think, a square foot. Steel is like 500 pounds a cubed foot, I should say, cubed foot. So you imagine a 1 foot cube, you're going to pick that up, it's going to weigh 500 pounds if it's made out of steel. If it's made out of brass, it's going to be approximately 10% heavier. If it's made out of lead, it's going to be 750 pounds. So lead's much heavier than brass and steel. This product here is not really lead. It's bismuth, I think. I don't know. It's whatever the Terminator 2 was made out of, right? So you heat it up, it liquefies. I don't remember what exactly the weight of it is, but it is heavier than brass by a small margin. So it's not quite as heavy as lead. Anyways, I say all that to say that it works great, right? So look that stuff up if you want to buy some. It's a little pricey. You might be able to find something that works just as good. Sometimes HO modelers will ballast their steam engines with some lead or similar material, melt it and lay it in there, you know, or some of their box cars, you know, so they look a little more scale. They're not shaking around like a toy on the track. So I think you could get it at the hobby store. It might be a little pricey. This stuff here, it comes in different melding temperatures. This is 158, I believe, is the melding. You know, so you just put it in a double boiler, put it in a pot, or like a little pan, and then put water in a pot, stick the pan in the water. You don't want this stuff right in the water because you know how you're going to get it out, right? So melt it down. I use a little, I call it a vet syringe. It's, you know, if you got some nasty medicine you got to give your dog, you stick it in the syringe and squirt it in its mouth. If you got any, maybe they're baby syringes too, but anyways, that's what I use. You get it, you put it in the dropper and squirt it in there a little bit at a time, get it around in there, and then get the wheel and just kind of shake it like that, and make it puddle up nice and even, nice and level, and let it sit, and it'll firm up. And then it ain't coming out of there either. I mean, it's in there good. So anyways, I ain't gonna make a video of that. I mean, you're smart, you can figure it out, right? Some superstar can make a video of that and take all the credit, right? So anyways, that's what I did. Look it up. Low melt. It's good stuff. You can weight all kinds of stuff with it, right? We use it in the machine shop industry to firm up. At least I do, to firm up something that needs machined. So if you have something that looks like a pie plate and it's, you know, ringing and vibrating, and you can't turn it, you put a little low melt in there, firm it up on the backside, and then do your machining and then melt it out, and it's like it was never there, right? So there's all kinds of stuff you can use low melt for, and that's what we use it for in the machine shop industry. So anyways, that's enough on that, right? So there's this mess under here. Still didn't tidy it up. I'm really using this little soft dig a lot. I like I like leaving that rear end open, and then when I need it, I engage it. It just turns so much better. And sometimes when you're hooked up on a rock and you want to just, it almost is like a dig. It'll just slide right around. Your front end just pulls the far wheel, and it just pulls it right around, pivoting on the inside wheel. It's works pretty decent. I never used one before. I have a TRX4, but it's a sport. It doesn't have all that. So that's the first time I ever experienced that. I do have a dig in my other truck, and I like that a lot too. Just makes the transmission is pretty high. I don't really know how to do it to this one, so I'm just you know, I'm using this nice low transmission, that motor down in there nice, and just using in that rear, opening and closing it as I need it. Servo's holding up awesome. I really like that little servo for the money. I don't even remember what I paid. It's under $50. It's a bargain. I mean, you can buy a $150 servo if you want, but I mean, I paid far more and got a lot less in this hobby many times. So that little servo there, that JX servo is really good. I don't know if you can see the number on there. I mean, you figure it out, right? It's a 46. It has the wire here. It's nice. You can hook it right up to your LiPo. You can run it on 4S too, which is pretty cool. So if you have a 4S setup, you can run it on that. I put since the last video, I put these Desert Lizard shocks on there, and I can't remember the setup I have. I have full droop in the front, and I think I got the light springs in there, and then the back is like 50% droop. These shocks are really cool. They come with a little bag of springs, and you can fiddle with it. And what was happening to me with my TRX4 modded shocks, they work great until you start tipping up high, and then the springs just they decompress and push the body away from the axle, and then change your center of gravity and you roll down the hill. So I thought I'd just try these. They're recommended by, I think, the guys TRD Adventures. Really has a great YouTube channel and has a lot of cool killer rigs, and he seems to like these shocks for the money. I mean, there's better ones out there that you could buy, but for the money, they come with all those springs. I think the only thing that I wish they came with were conical springs, right? Shaped as a cone that collapse on themselves. That way you have no spring stack height, right? So when you think of a spring and it collapses, all the coils are resting on top of one another. With a conical spring, when it collapses, each coil will go inside the next one. So the collapsed spring height's only going to be 1 or 1.5 times the thickness of the wire, right? Somebody ought to come up with a shock that has those in them, because then you could get it even compressed even further with a lighter spring, and you wouldn't have no springs in there getting the coils getting away the stack height. So you could do all kinds of stuff with a shock setup like that. So some smart person ought to do that. But anyway, I'm not that guy. I don't have that kind of time on my hands. I think of this stuff all the time. It's what I do for a living, right? I figure out how to fix stuff. That's what I do for a living, and in a machine shop, and we're constantly fixing stuff. So over the years, you just come up with ways, and you learn from smarter people and engineers how to solve problems. So this is kind of an outlet for that. I can't afford a real machine shop at my house here, so I have a little Mickey Mouse machine shop that I can make little RC car parts for, right? So I can't build a street rod, but I can build this. So anyways, that's the changes there. I'll get some running video. I was out today. I'm really pleased with it. That's why I was stoked to just do a little video and let you know about these wheel weights. These are really a decent addition, and it doesn't look too bad. I might paint that black, you know. But anyway, I liked it so much I did it on my other truck too. My other rig over there. I don't know if you can see that. That's my oh boy, what is that thing called? RGT rock hammer, right? That thing works pretty good too. But I think this thing is starting to outperform it finally. I mean, you think I got like 3 times as much money in this as I do that, and it's finally starting to come to a point where it's pretty decent. And it looks pretty cool too, at least I think so. Ran it today. It was wet and icy. It was very cold, but did some really cool lines. I didn't bother filming it. I'm such a terrible film editor. So cold out, I didn't want to deal with that. I had the dog with me, so we just ran a battery pack through this and got out of there. It was just so cold. But really like the performance of it, and with these weighted wheels, and that still side hills a little better. I might even add a little weight to the back wheels, just like half or maybe even a quarter as what I put in there, and just to make it side hill a little bit better. I don't know if that would be good or not. I could just try it, and then you can always just melt it out, right, and then save it. Oh, by the way, when you melt this, say you don't want that in there, and you don't just punch it out with a punch and get rid of it. You melt it out. You take the tire off, split the rim, put it in boiling water, right, and let it sit on the bottom. Let it get good and hot, and pull it out with a pair of tweezers. The low melt stays in the pot, and then you get another pot, right? Pour the water into that carefully, and keeping the low melt, like kind of like when you're straining out spaghetti, and keep the low melt down in there, and just pour it in a Dixie cup, right? And there you go. Let it firm up in the Dixie cup, and then put it in your drawer, and then you can use it to weight something else or some other thing you need it for. So, anyways, that's the lowdown on the low melt or any other product similar to that. It's just another option instead of buying a bunch of brass stuff from China, right? You can make your own stuff out of this, and works pretty good. All right, I think that's going to do it. All right, take care, guys. Bye.